Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Subramaniam Maslamani. I am a Tamil. Today, my subject is dead children and living parents. I hope this video will touch the hearts and minds of Tamils and non-Tamils. In Sri Lanka, the freedom movement was actually conceived, organized, and carried out by children. The world didn't know it, so they called them child terrorists. The suffering of the children in the hands of the racist and fanatic Sri Lankan religious and political establishment drove these children to become freedom fighters. This is the truth, and the Sri Lankan military and the leadership has admitted that the freedom fighters were in fact children. And to kill these innocent children, defending them is the defending themselves is the worst crime against humanity. Half the world participated, while half the world stood by did nothing. This is the worst case moral prostitution by the mankind. These children stood up to the invaders, barbarians, and criminals bravely and died valiantly. There is no parallel to their bravery in the history. The invaders used chemical weapons, supersonic jets, heavy artillery, and massive propaganda worldwide to kill the spirit of freedom, while the United Nations and other nations did very little. These children never went to war with the Sinhalese, but to defend their parents from the abusive behavior of the establishment. Prabhakaran was 17 years of age when he joined this defensive movement. At no stage these children went to war with the Sinhalese masses. So then why would the world call them terrorists? Tamils and Sinhalese lived peacefully in Sri Lanka up to 1958. Tamils were studying Sinhalese language and Sinhalese were studying Tamil language. But who stopped it? The problem was our northern neighbor India. India cannot permit Sri Lanka to become another Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan or Dubai. Whatever went on in Sri Lanka was all conceived and planned in New Delhi. The Sinhalese politicians and the religious establishment took advantage of this situation. There is rumor that the last 30 years of civil war was all managed from India. India does not want a vibrant Sri Lanka or a vibrant Tamil community. They have to manage these two dilemmas. So far they have been successful. Solving Sri Lankan problem is simple for a nation like India. But they do not want primarily a stable and prosperous Sri Lanka and secondarily a vibrant and stable Tamil community in the north and east of Sri Lanka. India is the prime suspect in these 30 years of political turmoil in Sri Lanka. India lacks the moral will and the political skill to maintain cordial relationship with both Sri Lanka and the Sri Lankan Tamil community. November 27th thus becomes the day of remembrance of the children war heroes. Most adults left the country or stood by. So in the struggle, children were the primary sufferers, and in fact my family lost one nephew at the age of 14. What the world must understand is why would children pick up arms to defend their community? There must be compelling series of atrocities must have been committed on Tamils. In May 2009, 40,000 innocent Tamils and a high proportion of children were killed by the use of prohibited weapons. Who provide these arms? Logistics, command and control. India and China. Where were the world leaders? Where were Ban Ki-moon, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Putin, Manmohan Singh, and Ho Jintao when innocent people were slaughtered? Did they ever say one word? No, because they are mere puppets of the insensitive and ruthless world establishment. It is the inability and the lack of moral highness and clear conscience that led to this genocide. There is more on its way in very many nations. The credit bubble is bursting everywhere, and soon the people will take to streets and take down the establishment. The world population owes a huge debt to the Tamil children who laid their lives to bring forth the issue to the forefront of the world attention. In this respect, the world must concede that we declare November 27th as the Remembrance Day for the fallen children of freedom. The current state of world affairs was predicted by Nostradamus in his original book written in 1452. I am fortunate to have a copy of this book. Nostradamus was able to predict all these events. According to him, 1999 is the beginning of the catastrophic direction. If the people who fuel and fund this global instability have any sense of feeling, they know where we are heading to. As the native Red Indian chief Seattle said, what befalls the weak will soon befall the strong. There is no force stronger than nature. If the Sri Lankan massacre of the children does not wake up the world will one day wake up to an uncontrollable and unmanageable catastrophe. We Tamils have a sacred duty to help the world understand the undercurrents that shape the world's direction. We must inform the world as much as possible the effects of moral degradation at the higher places, world capitals, and within the minds of people and leaders. This November 27th is indisputable, irrefutable, and conceivable evidence of things to come. But remembering this day, we Tamils are in fact helping the world to understand the precarious precipice the world is at. We need true and honest leadership. What can one Barack Obama do? He needs help and support. China and India are two emerging economies, but they are in fact emerging threat to the world's stability, for they are not true democracies. True democracies have means to moderate the vicious thoughts of nasty leaders. Their governments are not truly elected by people, popular vote. One is feudalistic, other is communist. Neither of them is suitable for the world. Our effort must be to find ways to neutralize these two nations. As a Tamil, I think India is a big threat to Tamils in Sri Lanka. The Sinhalese have understood that very well. But the Tamils are slow to understand the situation. Tamils, we speak Tamil and practice Hinduism because of our proximity to South India. Otherwise, do we have anything in common with the Indians? Religion and language are acquired characters, so we can learn any language and practice any faith and live well. But if the Indians help to kill Tamils, knowing that we practice their religion and speak their language, then there is some very definite reason for them to be against the Tamils in Sri Lanka. This is what our children taught us. Unfortunately, they are not living to be part of us. I may spark controversy over this, for there are Tamils who bent on keeping a failed religion and faulty Indian culture. They must develop their own culture. Tamils must develop their own culture. Tamils in Sri Lanka are hardworking, industrious, and persevering people. We differ from Indians in very many ways, and we must foster them to give us a distinctive and distinguishable culture and taste. We find more in common with the Caucasians than with the Chinese and Indians. We find our attitudes, affections, and working habits resemble more like Europeans and Americans. We are here in the West doing extremely well and are well cared by the respective governments. It is time for the Tamils to think and think again. Our children taught through their valiant and fearless effort gave us their lives to give us golden nuggets of wisdom. We shall build monuments comprising 1,000 pillars at every street corner for their remembrance and as a reminder. As I always say, all Tamils must unite, stay together, work hard, and never ever give up. My name is Subramaniam Maslamani. I am a world-class Tamil powered by convictions, commitments, and conscience.